What's up, guys? We are here for the finals of the Durbanville League Cup. I am on the right playing Ho-Oh Turtonator Volcanion, and Matthew's on the left playing Golisopod Garbodor. So I suppose on paper not a great matchup for Matthew, but definitely has some ways to swing this matchup. And I start with a mulligan, and let's see how this goes. So Matthew going to set up and just put a dice on top of the deck there to know that he's going to be able to draw one extra card for the mulligan. And I shuffle up and draw 7 new cards. Let's see if I can get a basic here. And it looks like we start with a Turtonator or a Ho-Oh. We do have the Ultra Ball to get that turn 1 Kiawe if we want to do that. And Matthew going to draw his mulligan, and that's it. So Matthew draws for the turn. He's going to attach a grass to the Coco, switch into the Coco, and I am going to Ultra Ball, discard a Ho-Oh and a Fire Energy, getting out a Lele and getting out the Kiawe with that Lele Wonder Tag ability. Not going to play it yet. Going to attach a fire to the Turtonator and then play that Kiawe, putting 4 energies onto that active Ho-Oh, getting some real early pressure on here on Matthew. So I am weak to lightning, so if he gets an energy and a choice band onto that Coco, he'll be swinging for 100, which is exactly what he's going to do. And I'm okay with that. You know, 100 pressure is not the end of the world if Matthew's not able to get anything. And I play the Sycamore here, realizing that Matthew's got a bad hand. So I'm going to play that Max Elixir, getting the fire onto the Turtonator on the bench. So that Turtonator will, at a minimum, be able to swing for 40 on the next turn if it needs to, if it does go down. Putting down that Potown to add extra damage if he does choose to evolve up, and attaching. So now I'm swinging for 160. I'm going to retreat the Ho-Oh, which pretty much guarantees the win on this game. He is able to Guzma up the Lele, but I do have the Floatstone, so going to retreat and knock it out. So a pretty bad start for Matthew game 1. Just about as bad as you can get in a match like this. Although he did get that swing for the 100 damage on the Ho-Oh, which is pretty cool. And we go on to game number 2. So a quick game 1. So we both shuffle up, and let's see what can happen here in game number 2. I imagine Matthew's going to want to go first. Start with a Volcanion. It looks like he starts with a Lele, from what I can see. No, he starts with a Trubbish. So, going to look to put some serious pressure on with Trashalanche this game, I would imagine. I mean, to try use that as his primary attacker here, hoping I play down a bunch of items. And with the hand that it looks like I have, probably will have to play down a bunch of items. So Matthew going to look for Bridget here, and looks like there is no Bridget in the deck. So going to play that in, is he? Going to play the in. Ultra Ball, getting rid of an Acerola and a Rainbow. Going to get out the Coco promo to look again to spread damage or get some damage onto a Ho-Oh GX. Let's see what goes on here now. I doubt I'm going to make that mistake again of putting out the Ho-Oh, but I think in that match it was just such a strong turn 1 position to have that Ho-Oh sitting up there with a 4 energy on it, just ready to swing for 180 damage into whatever he puts up. So if he did promote a Lele, I would be able to take a knockout on it, whereas with the Turtonator I would be capped at 160, which would not be great. Alright, so playing the end, we each draw 6 new cards. He's got a Wimpod, which is going to play down onto the bench and pass over to me. So I'm going to get a Volcanion down on the bench and play an N of my own. Looks like a pretty terrible hand I had there. So let's see what I can get off this N to 6. Alright. That's not a good N to 6. It's just a handful of energy. So I'm going to Ultra Ball, discarding Fire and an Ultra Ball. So 2 items in the discard already. And I think, if I remember correctly, in this game I didn't plan very well on the item count front, but I do want to get a Steam up in here and get 2 fire energy onto the bench. So 50 damage onto that Trubbish. It's still alive, and in a way that's a good thing. You know, it stops Matthew from being able to retreat, although he does have the Guzma here, bringing up that Volcanion, spreading 20 damage everywhere across the board. So I'm going to Sycamore here, discarding my hand and drawing 7 new cards. Unfortunately, don't hit a switch or a Floatstone. So I now need to make a choice here. What am I going to do? Where am I going to attach? I'm going to attach onto the bench Turtonator. And do I want to play down anything else? I'm going to play down another Volcanion. I don't think so. Just passing on to Matthew's turn. So he's got another Grass Energy onto the Wimpod. The Garbotoxin Garbodor down and an N. So I think missing that switch, I played 2 switch and 2 Floatstone, was pretty unfortunate. And you know, that Volcanion is a liability. It looks like I missed the switch again. No Guzma this turn either. So Flying Flip, spreading 20 damage everywhere. Going to Field Blower, discarding the Floatstone off the Garbodor. I'm going to play the Oranguru down, which was probably a mistake. But I think I probably want to look to Ultra Ball my hand size down if I can, and draw up if I can't hit that Floatstone or switch. Just looking at whatever ways I have of hitting a switching card off of this N to 6. No prizes, so I do hit the switch, and I am going to bring up that Turtonator. And do I want to put the tools down now? I'm going to play the Max Elixir, and it does hit, so I get the energy down onto the Volcanion. Okay. And by now I think my item count is pretty high. I am keeping a die on the side there counting. I think it was probably at 5 already. So pretty high item count, and I think you're going to play down 2 Golisopod, a double colorless onto that, so you can now crossing cut for the 150 and knock out that active Turtonator. If we have the fire energy, we can respond on the Volcanion, but then we are within range for a first impression with a choice band on the next turn. So this game not going particularly well. That Guzma on the Volcanion just set me back so many turns, 2 turns I think it was, which is just too much to keep up the tempo. And a Trubbish does come down, so now I'm pretty worried about the Trasher launch. And just having a look here, how many rainbow energies are in the discard. I see 2 in there, so he is going to crossing cut for the knockout, promoting the Trash launch, so interesting that he promoted that. I am going to use the Lele here, Wonder Tag, getting out a Guzma, looking to take 2 prizes on a Golisopod. If I can hit. Okay, so we're going to play the Guzma, bring it out, bring up the Volcanion, attach, and I think I might put the choice, yeah, so I do put the Fury Belt on it, trying to keep it out of range, and we'll go for the knockout here, doing 260 damage, and let's see what Matthew is able to do on his turn. Going to promote the Garbotoxin Garbodor, double colorless onto the bench and a choice band, and there go the rainbows. So I think 1, 2, 3. I think if he's got 1 more rainbow energy left. Going to get rid of that tool, so that's unfortunate, but we get the Potown down, not particularly relevant. Do we play the Field Blower here? We can max Elixir onto the Turtonator, trying to set it up for a Nitro Tank GX, which I think is what we're going to go for here. And we're going to bench another Volcanion, Field Blower off that choice band, and Sycamore. Alright, so we hit a Floatstone, which I think, we want to hang on to. We might want to just use the switch. Let's see what we're going to do here. We've got a lot of items in the discard by now, so Trash Launch is doing some serious damage. We are definitely going to need to retreat a Nitro Tank. Question is, what do we Nitro Tank onto here? We've got 3 energies in the discard, so we're going to put 2 on the active and 2 on the bench. Looking just to give us multiple attacker options. So a double colorless onto the Lele. Does he have a way to switch out the active? He has got a Guzma in hand. He can take the knockout on the Volcanion with 3 energy, but he is going to bring up the Volcanion with 2 and energy drive for 80 damage. We've got another Volcanion, 2 Ho-Ohs. So we do have the switch. We're able to switch out into the Volcanion with the 3 energies on it, and we'll probably only be able to do 130 damage. So we're going to Sycamore, discarding our hand and drawing 7 new cards. So we've got Kiawe's there, plenty of Kiawe's. We really want to Ultra Ball those away if we can. I think at this point the item count is so high that there's nothing much we can do. We don't have any energy in the discard pile, so we can't energy retrieval to steam up. We could actually steam up once and then energy retrieve that and steam up again, which would actually give us a knockout, but we choose to, well, I choose to attach and just do the 130 damage. Looking at it again, I think maybe taking the knockout would have been a better option here. Probably could have closed the game out a bit sooner. But Matthew going to get the Floatstone and going to Sycamore, discarding his hand and drawing 7 new cards. So I definitely think we had an option there to take the knockout. Okay, so yeah, I think we were looking at the Po-Town, which wasn't hadn't been brought into effect. It doesn't really matter because he is going to get the knockout here with Trash Launch. And now we are in a awkward position. We don't really have a way to get enough damage onto that Garbodor to knock it out. He's going to come up, and I'm not sure how we can manage this one. I think we had a Guzma in hand, so it wouldn't really work out. You know, whichever way we go, we are going to be taking some serious damage from that Trash Launch, so we need to get rid of it. We're going to energy retrieve here and get that energy onto the benched Volcanion, I think. But at this point, I think it's probably too late. If he's got the Guzma in hand, that'll be the game. So looking to maybe attach to the active, keeping enough energy on it to be able to attack next turn. Matthew promotes the, and he does have the Guzma for the game. So taking his last two prizes, and we will move on to game number 3. So definitely think I could have played that better, but definitely really well played from Matthew's part. One of the top players in the Western Cape, if not nationally, and piloting the deck really well, especially against his fire weakness. So you know, you really see the Trash Launch Garbodor coming into its fore there and doing what it's meant to do, which is punishing item-heavy decks. You know, in that matchup, I don't think there was any way to keep the item count down. Just some pretty bad and unfortunate draws. So I'm probably going to opt to go first here, and we start with what looks like a Turtonator. Putting our prizes down and onto game number 3. Somebody walked into the camera. So we're going to max elixir, looking at the top 6, and we don't hit an energy there, which is pretty unfortunate. Once again, now we just have an item in the discard pile, which we don't want to see. So I'm going to Sycamore, discarding what looked like a Guzma and a couple other pretty good cards, and not hitting a hell of a lot off of that Sycamore either, just drawing back into a bunch of supporters. So we're going to have to Ultra Ball, getting rid of an Ultra Ball and probably a Fire Energy, I would think. We choose a Sycamore. Going to get a baby Volcanion out, giving us an option here to re-accelerate energy if we need to later on in the game, and going to pass over to Matthew. Let's see what he has to do. Alright, so just counting the items on my side there. Ultra Balling, discarding the Garbo Toxin and an N. Taking a look through the deck. Gonna Lele. Probably gonna try and get Bridget out. Setting up his bench. So there's the Bridget. I would imagine 2 Trubbish and a Wimpod will be a good choice here. 2 Wimpod and a Trubbish. In the last game, the Garbodor definitely put in a lot of work. So we are going to Guzma up the Wimpod with the energy on it. Bring up that. Okay. And then we are going to Shell Trap, not for the knockout, just for 40 damage. Meaning that whatever he attacks into me with on the next turn will take 80 damage. So working around the first impression and just helping set up those knockouts where we need to with the Turtonator. So he is going to evolve the active up, float stone onto the active, and probably retreat into the other Golisopod. hitting for the 120 damage. Yep, there comes down the 120, and he takes the 80 for the shell trap, or not. Yep, it's not really relevant though. If I'm about to hit into him for 160 damage. If we got 2 steam ups off, we would be doing 80, which is 160, which would get the knockout and would keep the shell trap in play. But we just draw a bunch of fire energy and what looks like a Kiawe and a field blower. So not a hell of a lot of options in our hand. We are going to play down the Lele and get an N. The reason I played that down now is in case he gets a Garbotoxin online in the next turn, meaning I wouldn't have a supporter in hand. So this way, just guaranteeing a supporter in hand without having to discard a ton of resources that I don't necessarily want to discard. There goes the Ultra Ball. Is he going to get the Garbotoxin Garbodor out? Yep, he is. So it's exactly why I played down that Lele. It would have been useless in my hand now. So there we go. He's going to play an N of his own. I'm okay with that. You know, that's really what we did there. We forced him to play an N, knowing that we had a supporter in our hand for the next turn. So I'm going to draw my 4 cards. Matthew going to rescue Stretcher up a Wimpod onto the bench, and going to retreat, and first impression for the knockout on that Turtonator. So he's going to attach to the Coco. Is he going to attach to the Coco? He is going to attach to the Coco, looks like. Yep, and first impression for the knockout. I'll probably promote the Turtonator and go for the Nitro Tank GX, I would imagine. Do I get down the Volcanion here? Is it even worth it? I don't think so. It is a target for the Nitro Tank for sure. But I think at this point that we are looking for something a bit more beefy, which we don't hit, so probably should have done that, but I think we can definitely put 3 on the active and 1 onto the bench, setting up the Turtonator and the benched baby Volcanion. So Choice Band goes onto the Tapu Koko, and Rainbow onto the Wimpod, and he's going to play an N. And we are going to draw 4, and he's going to draw 4. So each going down to a hand size of 4 cards here. Let's see what we can get off the 4. Got some fire energy over there. A Golisopod on the bench for Matthew. Going to retreat that active and bring up the Coco promo. Going to look to flying flip across the field. So okay, not so sure. He hasn't decided yet. Okay, he's going to bring up the Golisopod and first impression for 120. We can play that Volcanion down now and attach to it. Max Elixir, trying to power that up. We do hit the energy. So we've got a Volcanion to swing with on the next turn, as long as we can hit 1 energy. Our item count, I think, is sufficiently low that we're not too worried about Trash Launch. Plus, he doesn't have another Trubbish on the bench. So his bench is full. Up comes the Coco, which is going to swing for 50. Not enough to knock out the Turtonator, so he is going to retreat. He'll have to retreat into that Golisopod and swing. And that will mean we can take our final 2 prizes if he does that. So, you know, really looking to limit his options here. Just threatening a number of attackers that we've got access to and putting him in a pretty awkward position. Yeah, very low item count as well. So what is he able to do here on this turn? He's going to... Is he going to Guzma up the Lele? He could Guzma up the baby Volcanion, but he won't take a knockout. He'll be 10 damage short. He is going to do that. He's going to bring it up, and he's going to first impression for 120. No, it's still alive. All right. We draw another Volcanion, so we can actually steam up twice here, I think. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna try and get the switch. We just draw a ton of energy and no switch, and I don't even think I steamed up, so we definitely could have done some serious damage on this turn, but we're going to power heater here for what actually should be 60 damage because we have a Fury Belt on us, so yeah, 60 damage. 60 damage. There we go. So he does get a Trubbish down on the bench. I see that Trash Launch in his hand. So he's going to retreat into the Coco. And now I'm in an awkward position. He's going to swing for 20, not knocking me out. And suddenly my Turtonator is in range. We really need to hit a Guzma here or a switch. We can't steam up. I didn't see the Floatstone on the Garbotoxin the whole time, so I was thinking we could steam up, but definitely can't. So that would explain it. So we are going to power heater here and getting that 30 damage down on the field. There comes the Garbotoxin, Garbodor, and if Matthew Flying flips here, he puts me at 160, which means I'm still alive because of that Fury Belt. I mean, it would have been significantly better if I didn't have the Fury Belt on me. The game would probably be over by now, but obviously the Lele is powered up, the Turtonator is powered up, the Volcanion is powered up. We've got an energy which we can retreat with. So I'm not sure there's a way for him to take 4 prizes on this turn. Going to retreat into the Garbotoxin. I'm going to draw for my turn, retreat, and I would imagine I'll probably bring up the Volcanion because I can retreat it with the 3 energy that's on it, and it has the least amount of damage. It can't be energy derived for the knockout. Matthew going to play the Lele down now that that Garbotoxin has been knocked out, and going to look to end me down to a hand size of 1, which he is going to do. And now again he's in an awkward position. If he doesn't hit the energy for Trash Launch, which I think is going to be difficult. He's played a number of Rainbow Energy throughout the game, and he doesn't hit it. So he's going to retreat into that Lele. I'm going to Wonder Tag for the Guzma and bring up that Golisopod and knock it out for plenty of damage, and that will be the knockout. And the next card was the Rainbow Energy he needed for the Trash Launch, and that's the game. Thanks for watching, guys.